The Fenix 8 is now out and official. Garmin held a live stream at 7 a.m. this morning, and I postponed my morning run just to be sure to watch it all. Now, in typical Garmin we do our own thing fashion, it was streamed not on YouTube, the largest streaming service in the world, but rather on KoreaCast, which is an odd French site I know nothing about. Maybe it's an amazing site and you can tell me why I should know about it in the comments. The selection makes a little sense though, given the location of the presentation. Anyway, it seemed like a very Garmin presentation, not the glitz and glamour of an Apple or Samsung live event, but a few guys hanging out on a small stage backdropped by, and I don't speak French, so no bullying me in the comments, Chamonix Valley and Mont Blanc, where the UTMB finals are about to take place. The Garmin reps were top product managers, and I immediately stopped trusting Martine after he said this.
Fenix, which is the most significant update that we ever did on the Fenix.
Come on now, I get hyping a product, but let's respect the customers too. For reasons I'm not aware of, there are continuous shots of people paragliding in the background. I'm not sure if that's something people do all the time at Mont Blanc, but they couldn't help but cut to the wide shots whenever someone flew by. But anyways, yeah, let's get into the Fenix coverage. They discussed a new lineup that we've already gone over in previous videos. The Fenix 8, which is the new moniker for the Fenix with the OLED display, comes in 3 sizes and an option of stainless steel and Gorilla Glass or titanium and sapphire. The Fenix Solar, which is the new MIP model, comes in 2 sizes and only with titanium and sapphire. In addition to those watches, we have the new Fenix E as well as the Enduro 3. But in this video, we're focusing on the Fenix 8. Now, they did cover some new features that will be discussed quite a bit in future videos. They included map improvements, dynamic round-trip routing, voice assistant functions, voice commands, voice notes, leak-proof buttons which enable scuba diving, snorkeling. They talked about some strength training improvements and programs. Listen, I'm going to do a full review when I get my hands on one, which will be real soon, but I'm going to go ahead and say I'm proud that on Dave Does Fitness, we nailed the overwhelming majority of leaks that were covered on this channel, so congrats to everyone that follows the channel. You knew exactly what was coming on the Fenix 8, and even what day it was going to be announced. So now that it's all official, where does that leave us? Here's the thing. This is the best all-around sports watch on the market. Easy, hands down. I'm about to cover some of the new features, but first I do have to touch on the pricing. Listen, I know Garmin flagships have always been premium. There's no doubt about that. And inflation is real and it's hitting hard lately. And I knew that the hardware revision to the buttons, which enable the dive certification, would likely mean a higher end price. But I still think the jump in pricing is a bit much for the value delivery and will make many of the Garmin faithful stop and reflect for a long minute before they decide to commit over $1,000 on a sports watch upgrade. Now, I covered the anticipated pricing, which was accurate, so we knew what to expect price-wise. But I also thought that would come with some form of improved processing, display, sensors, or some other internal upgrade to boost performance that we didn't yet know about and that would help justify the pricing. Real quick, I have to say that while the new Fenix 8 has an eye-watering price tag, showing support for my channel costs absolutely nothing, and I appreciate every thumbs up and sub way more than Garmin appreciates a paraglider in the background of their presentations. Alright, back to it. So what exactly are we getting in the Fenix 8? As I just mentioned, I've got one on the way and we'll do a hands-on impressions and review once it arrives. But just looking at it on paper, what are the differences to improve upon the Epix Pro or Fenix 7 Pro? I took a look at the Garmin comparison tool on their website, and there was so much that was exactly the same. I looked solely at the differences and there really wasn't much listed. It looks like the Fenix 8 actually loses the skin temperature when compared to the Pro line, and I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, but I'm not sure why they'd remove something like that. It seemed like a useful feature. And tactical features, it looks like 0 locations is not included any longer. And you may say, what's that? I've never used that. Well, apparently it works with 0 branded bow sights. So yeah, it's for bow hunting. That's probably why you don't know about it. Looks like we're also losing the gaming activity and game on app compatibility. So sorry, looks like it's game over for the gamers. Under training and analysis, apparently the Fenix 8 is gaining a workout benefit feature. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be different than training effect. I mean, it sure sounds the same, but perhaps that ties into the improved training programs they've really focused on. And in outdoor recreation, the Fenix 8 loses reference points. Again, I'm hoping that just isn't accurate, or perhaps it's called something else now with navigation, but I don't know why you'd take that out. Then we get to the elephants in the room, the mic and speaker, as well as diving and snorkeling. Now, I will say, I've heard stories of people having serious issues with their waterproof Garmins after doing open water swims. I imagine it was from button presses while in the water. So even if you aren't a diver, this will seal the watch up and protect it for any water activity, and I think it's a really good upgrade for anyone that goes in the water. But okay, aside from the mic, speaker, and diving activities, depending on the model, you're also getting an extra 0.1 inch of display on the Fenix 8. And the Fenix 8 is also listed for an extra day of battery life with the always-on display going from 6 to 7 days. But somehow the same 16 days with raise to wake, which is a little questionable. It does look like a lot of the battery life measurements have improved in other activities though. Oh, and it's also just under a millimeter less depth to the watch, so maybe it catches less on your shirt cuff, I don't know. But really, that's about it. That's the sum of what the Fenix 8 comes down to as a generational improvement, and on paper, it doesn't look too amazing if I'm being completely honest with you. Now, as I mentioned, I was holding out hope there would be some type of internal upgrade to the Elevate 5 sensor, mention of a faster processor or higher pixel density on the display, some type of performance improvement to the watch, and of course I was really hoping for LTE connectivity. But it seems like the majority of the internals are the same as the Pro lineup when it comes to what's actually powering the watch. Now, here's the thing. The Fenix and Epix were already industry-leading watches with what is now the previous Pro generation, and the new Fenix lineup has improved. So to me, this watch is still the king. If you want the best of the best sports watch there is, then there's still no comparison out there. Whether Apple, Suunto, or Coros come up with some serious challengers in the near future remains to be seen. You know, it could be argued that the top competition for the Fenix 8 is the Epix Pro and the Fenix 7 Pro. So now that it's all out and official, what do you think about the Fenix 8? Do you think it will live up to the hype as the next edition of the storied Fenix lineup? Do you think it is worth an upgrade? If so, what watch are you upgrading from? I'm genuinely curious to hear about that. I myself am upgrading an Epix Gen 2 Stainless Edition, and I'm excited at what I'm getting with a multi-generational jump. But also, if I'm being honest with you, if I didn't want it for the sake of Dave Does Fitness, then I'd likely be doing some Dave Does waiting for a sale. But the improvements will all be welcome, and I'm excited to test some of the new features and bring some great training information your way real soon. As always, if you made it to the end, I appreciate you taking the time to hang with me today. If you liked the video, be sure to throw a thumb. If you want to see the hands-on videos coming real soon, be sure to subscribe. I'm Dave, and this is Dave Does Fitness. Have an awesome day and stay fit.